I'm honestly kind of shocked. When did we stop building real houses and start building houses made out of glue and bark chips and list them for $1 million?
So this is what I'm talking about right here. $1 million for a bunch of junk OSB plywood and bent 2x4s. And you don't even get any land for your $1 million. Look how tiny this lot is.
You know, when I walk into a brand new home just under $1 million, I expect the bar to be set just a little bit higher than what it is nowadays. You ever turn the handle on a shower to cut the water on and the whole wall moves?
Tough real estate market has led to historic trends among first-time home buyers. A national survey from the National Association of Realtors found the median age of first-time buyers climbed to a record of 38 years old.
New construction homes in 2024 are built horrible. I don't know if you guys have seen the new trend going viral right now on social media, where all the home inspectors are going around to new construction homes and looking at them for damage or seeing what's wrong with them. And the amount of stuff wrong with these new construction homes is next level. I used to be jealous when I would drive by new construction homes, like, oh, I wish I would be able to afford one, or oh, I wish I could get one of those. But now, after seeing how they're constructed, I want nothing to do with them. And honestly, I'm not surprised. Everything new in the past couple of years has been built horrible and not to last. Now, if you guys happen to be in the market for a new construction home, or you are a homeowner, let me know what you think about these new construction homes down in the comments section below. Otherwise, let's get right into today's episode.
I'm honestly kind of shocked. When did we stop building real houses and start building houses made out of glue and bark chips and list them for $1 million?
So this is what I'm talking about right here. $1 million for a bunch of junk OSB plywood and bent 2x4s.
Plastic plumbing, all thrown together by the cheapest possible bids they can probably get.
And you don't even get any land for your $1 million. Look how tiny this lot is. This right here is the new type of house they're building in the suburbs of Portland, and it costs $975,000.
Literally everybody I know wants more affordable housing, but all we get are these monstrosities that are so incredibly expensive. And an HOA that costs $100 a month and doesn't let you do anything.
And that's all they're building, all around me. They opened up all these acres of old farmland, and all they're building are these ginormous houses. Even Zillow estimates the payment on this place to be over $6,000 a month.
And unfortunately, this is the future we're looking at, where no normal working class person will be able to own a home. We're talking about something like 5 or 6 of the average salary around here in order to purchase this house. Now make that make sense.
Yeah, it's getting bad out here. It's annoying. I mean, honestly, wherever I look, just the housing price, even the average home is over like $400,000 now, which is near unaffordable at a 7% interest rate. You're looking at like over a $3,000 a month payment. It's crazy, but there's a lot to unpack in this episode. There's a lot of points that I have to bring up and talk about, especially as I have started recently to look at purchasing a house because I'm getting fed up with renting. So I don't know how many more years of that I have left in me here, but yeah, I have a lot of interesting comments too, because this is the first time that I've lived in a new construction apartment complex that was just built brand new, and the amount of stuff that has been thrown together in this, it's horrible. It's all junk. I can see the way it's been built and constructed, the amount of stuff that's been breaking, the amount of stuff that just is so poorly put together. Like, where's the craftsmanship? Don't get me wrong, that house was beautiful. I'd love to live in something like that, but once you start to see how these things are made, it's terrible. It's called planned obsolescence, or it's called poor craftsmanship, and nobody gives a crap anymore in 2024 when it comes to building things. Nobody cares or wants. It's all about profit. Nobody wants to put their name on anything, and really be proud of the work that they did. Like he said, they probably outsource it to the cheapest bidder that can put it all up. They throw it together with, crazy glue and, plywood and press board, and that's it. And they're charging $2 million, $1 million for it. Not to mention, you don't get any land. You're literally, if I'm paying $1 million for a house, I'd like to at least not be able to touch my neighbor's house when I put my hand out the window.
What does everyone think? It's a brand new house, it's not gonna have any problems. Well, let me show you all the problems that I find. That's nice. No high loop for the dishwasher drain line. Screws pointing out of the cabinet right here for the range hood. Kitchen island, literally not secured to the floor. Glass on a door going from the garage into the house, that compromises the fire rating. Deadbolts upside down, that'll cause premature wear of the cylinder components. Because there's an attached garage, we need to have at least one carbon monoxide detector in here, and all we have are smoke detectors. No COs anywhere. No insulation on the attic access ladder. And open grounds on our master bathroom receptacles. Wow, that's a lot.
I mean, it really just tells you that the lack of care or quality or craftsmanship is out the window. I used to be so naive to think, obviously, who wouldn't want a new construction home? Who wouldn't want a new car? I was naive, and I thought too, if you're getting a brand new car or you're getting, well, I knew that, but if you're getting a brand new house, I don't know why I thought it was any different. I know, and we've made countless videos on the channel, not to buy brand new cars because you're guinea pigs and they fall apart and you have no idea what's wrong with them. And not to mention something called planned obsolescence, where they've made and engineered things to break and they're not as durable and as good as they used to be. Now everything is to be built as cheaply and as quick as they can using plastic, which, as we know, breaks. If you use plastic in your cooling system in your car and it's constantly getting heated up and then cooled down over and over again, it makes the plastic brittle and it cracks. Same thing goes with the house. And I was naive to think that houses would be, the outlier in the mix, that they would be totally fine. And why would I want an old house that has problems, when I could get a new house? Well, after watching some of these videos, I am quickly changing my mind. And I don't think I ever want to buy a new house here. I'd rather get one that's, stood the test of time, that stood its ground, where the problems have already been figured out and fixed with maybe the previous owner. Obviously, you still need to get your house inspected. I think it's silly because I wouldn't have caught half those things that guy did until it was too late. So definitely very important.
I get asked all the time, why do you need to do an inspection if it's a brand new house? And this is the perfect example why. This house already has its final inspection approval from the city. So we got our gas cooktop, and this is the gas supply line for it. And every time that we close this drawer in this cabinet, it bangs against that pipe. Same thing with the drawer directly next to it. Hits it every single time it's opened or closed. How long until we develop a leak?
I mean, that's pretty bad, actually, that it's already been through all these other inspections, and that is a disaster waiting to happen. You're going to blow up your house. Talk about crappy craftsmanship. You damn well know the person that installed that knew that the cabinets would get very close to it, if not hit it, and said, I'm too lazy. I'm not going to redo this, have to drill another hole, have to move the cabinets or replace the cabinets here. It's just pure laziness. It's really crazy. And you would expect, if anything, when you're paying $900,000, $1 million on a brand new house, that it is perfect. But not anymore.
Tough real estate market has led to historic trends among first-time home buyers. A national survey from the National Association of Realtors found the median age of first-time buyers climbed to a record of 38 years old. The survey was conducted from July of last year to June of this year. It also found that a record 7% of first-time buyers use their inheritance to afford a down payment.
Yeah, man, it's getting so bad out here. Only recently did I say, I'm starting to get pissed with renting and I really want to buy a house. And no matter where I look, it gets more and more expensive. And there's no way. I don't know how in the future I plan on renting or buying a house. Sorry. I've tried to do so many creative options, looking through all these options. It's not possible. I moved to Florida thinking that would be cheaper. And in a sense, it was cheaper. But then I find out none of the houses in Florida are really meant for first-time home buyers or are really for a family because there's no backyard. There are extraordinarily high HOA fees. You're talking $400 a month, $300 a month, $500 a month, whatever it is. You get no land, no property, no personal space. And they're all cookie cuttered and glued to your neighbors. And when I say $400,000, you're sharing and splitting a main wall in your townhome. I don't really want to live like that. And I've even considered, stretching all my options and buying a tiny home for $40,000 and plopping it on a plot of land. But guess what? The cheapest land I could find is $250,000 all the way out in an undeveloped area. So even with that, $250K plus $40,000 for a tiny home, plus getting all the electric and everything hooked up, I'm still approaching $350,000 for to live in a super tiny apartments. So I don't know what options we have as millennials and Gen Zs. It's just so out of reach and out of touch, and I really don't want to be house poor that I don't know what other options are there to do unless I somehow win the lotto and get $1 million.
Home inspection on new build construction. The builder actually told the buyer that they do not need to get an inspection. They should just wait till the 1 year mark. And the builders love it when you fall for that trick, because then they can blame more of the defects and damage on you. I personally disagree with that logic. If you did not get a pre-purchase or inspection within the first 10 days, then it is more important for you to get that inspection immediately and do not wait till the 1 year mark. And this client is very happy that they did not fall for their tricks. And this is why.
Exposed lath material.
Well, that's great.
More exposed lath material.
Bugs in that house.
Loose walkway pavers.
I swear if that music gets me demonetized for copyright, I'm going to be so pissed.
We're in the attic. And it's almost like they think we're not going to check the insulation material. I just shoved my flashlight in there to make a hole. And it's like, okay, what do we got? 6 inches? Your damaged truss member. And if the light shines through, then it gets the blue.
Maybe mold or something. Oh, blue tape. On a brand new house, the wall's gonna fall off the stairs. So now I want to ask you guys, what do you think about new construction homes? Are you for them? Are you against them? Have you purchased and moved into a new construction home? Did you build it yourself? Are you avid on only buying old homes and renovating them? Like, there's a lot of options here. And as I get older and I'm getting closer to wanting to become a homeowner here, these are questions I go through and ask myself. And I'm sure a lot of you guys watching, if you're thinking about buying a house, these are things you're going to have to consider. A couple of months ago, I was super pro on wanting to purchase a new construction house because I thought, hey, I don't have to spend any money on renovations and I can just move in and it's move-in ready. But after watching the past couple of videos, I don't think I want anything to do with new construction homes. Not to mention, I've been living in new apartments for maybe the past 2 to 3 years. I've been in the same apartment complex, but I've been jumping around apartments in here, and each one, they all have problems. Like, it's either I was the first person to move into it, I was the first tenant, or there was one tenant prior, so I know it's really not that old. But the way things are constructed, unlike my first apartment that I had, which was built in like the 50s and they've renovated it a little bit, it was much more sturdy and like solid. These apartments are so cheaply put together. Like, the carpet is crap, the trims, the furniture, like just the way the appliances are set, the way the cabinets are, the way the bathrooms are made. It is made with the cheapest quality stuff. And I understand it is an apartment complex. It's obviously at a different grade of materials and stuff than a house. But honestly, I don't think there's that much of a difference compared to the new construction that they're building for houses. I really don't think there's that much of a difference with the apartment and with the houses here. Maybe a little, but just the quality and the craftsmanship, it's horrible.
My property that was built in the 1950s, and I want to show you why they say old homes are stronger and built better. This piece right here took 7 years to get to where it's at here, these 2 inches here. You can tell by the basically the lines. The top piece here, I counted them, it's over 30. So these 2 inches took over 30 years to get to this point. Bottom piece, 7 years. This top piece is a lot more dense than the bottom piece, which makes it a lot stronger than the newer pieces of wood.
And I've heard this before from some construction and contractors within the industry here, that the wood that they're using right now for construction, and they're only pumping it out as fast as they can to meet demand or to save cost and stuff like that. But when you look at that, that's a huge difference. Whether or not it has a role in how like the tensile strength of the material is, that's a question for you contractors out there that know a little more than I do on it. But I would think that a tree that has 30 years of growth compared to 7 is going to stand the test of time, and it's going to be a much denser, harder wood, depending on the wood, of course, here. But yeah, I think without a doubt, there's a lot of pros with buying a pre-owned house for the same reason like purchasing a pre-owned car. I'm not saying get a hoopty. I'm not saying buy the cheapest, junkiest car on the market. Just like I would say don't buy the cheapest, junkiest house that needs to get demolished, but a fairly used new house, maybe for houses it could be early 2000s, maybe late 90s, would be substantial compared to purchasing a brand new house that has been put together with the cheapest possible material, glue and nails, and it's just built to only last a couple of years, and then it's going to fall apart. Like, I'd really like to know how the houses built in 2024, how they are in like 10 years from now, like, or 15 years from now. Like, how long are they actually going to be able to stand the test of time before they start breaking, sagging, getting wrecked, stuff like that, versus these old houses that were built in the 50s and the 60s have such stronger, dense wood, and they've been around for 60 to 80 years now. And going back to cars, it's the same exact thing. I mean, you can buy a 1998, 2000 Toyota Camry or Toyota Corolla, and those things are built to last. They are built sturdy. The pipes are made out of metal, or they're made out of solid, hosing and piping, but the new cars are made out of plastic, brittle plastic that are cheap, and they could last a couple of years, but they'll break. While a 1998 Toyota Camry is still pumping along, driving like no problems. I really do think that things were built much sturdier and with craftsmanship and with pride back many years ago compared to now. We're just tossing them up and moving along.
All right, just starting this new construction inspection. I started at 9 o'clock. Very first sink I run water into. Drip, drip, drip.
So this is actually the same house I was at last week, where I showed the primary condensate drain was disconnected and dumping water into the cabinet below the sink. So let's see what the cabinets look like. Did they replace them? Or do we still have the same water damaged cabinets that were here last Friday?
And they are the same. That is all water damage. There's the same sink. There's the condensate drain line. All right, well, there's also this. Looks like the dishwasher's leaking. So we have a slow drain at this bathtub. Look at this caulking. Looks good right there. But the back side, it's always hard to get to.
It's funny too, because that is it. All those problems he just mentioned are the same exact stuff that has happened in my apartment complex, or sorry, in my specific apartment. The cabinets under the sink, there was a leak. I guess the previous tenant had no idea, and the entire bottom of the sink in the kitchen is completely water damaged, and it's just left there. Like, they don't care. That's how it is. Not to mention, I don't know if you noticed, and again, contractors, feel free to let me know, or homeowners, let me know, but I know for sure, back in the day, all the plumbing and stuff was made out of metal. I've seen it on the back of toilets, on the back of kitchen sinks, stuff like that. It was all made out of metal plumbing and metal piping. Now everything's going to PVC. Obviously, it's way cheaper and much more cost effective to fix. You cut it, that's it, move past, you throw a new part on here. But I would argue it probably doesn't last as long. Again, I don't know the way that we're going this way. I mean, I've heard of copper piping, getting pins and holes and needles through it and rusting through. And now we're switching to like PVC or some other sort of plastic piping that we use for water now instead of copper. How has that stood up? Is it better? I don't know. I just think we're moving to just plastic and press board for housing now.
The house behind me right here is another example of one of these overpriced new homes that they're putting up all around us.
It's listed for $640,000, which compared to some of the other houses they're putting in around town is actually pretty cheap.
So let's break it down really quick and see how much money you'd have to make in a year if you wanted to live in this house. So assuming that you only have $500 a month in debts, you have about 10% down, and you have today's interest rates of around 7%, you would need to make $200,000 a year in order to afford to live in this house. The location over here is not good. We're like 5 miles from downtown, maybe 7 miles from the river.
And they have nothing but desert to expand into and build hundreds, maybe even thousands of more homes. You gotta make $200K a year, which is pretty much non-existent here, to have a house that's so close to your neighbor you could touch if you stand in between.
A lot of you say, oh, don't buy a new house, buy an old one. Well, guess what? Old houses, that's a finite resource. They're not making old houses anymore. Pretty much all the ones around me and all the ones that I've seen in Oregon and all across the West Coast been bought up as flips with cheap IKEA remodels immediately listed for massive profit or for a terrible, terrible renting price. The starter homes that used to exist, they don't anymore.
Yep, that's it. There's no more starter homes. That's the word that I was looking for here. I was calling it like new family or first-time home buyer, but it's starter homes. They're gone. They're non-existent. All we're asking for is a $350,000 house. It doesn't have to be big. We don't need it to be 2 stories. Just a normal house to be able to afford it. But honestly, I don't even know why I'm complaining about the way these new construction houses are built, because I'll never see it. I'll never have one because I literally can't afford it. No matter how much I put down, the interest rates are too astronomical. And the second the interest rates start dropping, we're going to see housing go right back up to where they once were. And again, I won't be able to afford anything. That's just the way it works. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the lines, but I think from 2019 to 2024, we're talking a 4 to 5 year jump. Housing went from like $290,000 to $410,000 for the average home. Over $130,000, $150,000 increase in like 3 to 4 years. Houses I thought were supposed to appreciate like 3, maybe 4% a year, nothing crazy, just to, a hedge against inflation here. But to be seeing 20, 30% jumps on housing, it's unaffordable. It's literally unobtainable. Now, he said something too, and you saw that where the house is literally right next to your neighbor. That's all they're doing in Florida. Like, I'll make another video, I guess, and we'll go drive around and I'll show you the disgusting, horrible homes. None of them are starter homes. They're townhomes. They're in HOAs. They are a fortune, and you are on top of your neighbor, and there is no room. It is disgusting. It is terrible. I don't know why this is the only thing they're doing. Back in the day, at least you get a backyard. That's not existent anymore. The big contractors or whoever that are building these neighborhoods and these blocks are trying to squeeze as much money as they possibly can by putting as many homes as close together as possible to add a couple extra houses on the block, or they'll even split it and have 2 families, like literally right down the street from me. They built this new construction whole entire neighborhood, and the houses go for about $600,000 to $700,000 each, but they're conjoined. It's a townhome, so each side of it is about $800,000, $700,000, and on top of that, you literally have 6 feet of space from your neighbor. No backyard, not allowed to have fences. It's unreal. And on top of that, you have people that are buying up these homes, throwing a can of paint on them, putting some new floors and maybe some new cabinets in, and selling them for double the price. Now, respectfully, I don't know whose house this is, but we're going to use it as an example here. I found one in Mount Juliet. It's another area I was looking at in Tennessee. The house is selling for $600,000. Now, check out what they bought it for. So while I was shopping around looking for houses in the Tennessee area, I found this one here, and I was like, oh, this one doesn't look too bad, but why is it $600,000 for a house that was built in 1947? That's like what, 50, 60, 75 years old, and it's selling for $600K, and even Zillow estimates it as cheaper than what it is. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, there's nothing here. It's in the middle of nowhere. You don't even get like a garage that I can see. I mean, check this out. There's nothing on this road. You don't even get a driveway. We have a cheaply put together deck to get into the house here. And that's it. There's nothing there. It's like on this plot of land. It's just plopped down here. There's nothing to it. But it's $600,000. It blows my mind. I'm like, there's no way it could be worth that. But I'm looking at the inside. I'm like, yeah, this is nice. There's nothing to it. As you know, like the whole minimalistic thing now is to not have any walls. It's all modern. It looks great. We got new appliances. The cabinets look great. I don't know what this is, why you'd have a wall here. I guess, again, to create, because house is built in 1940s, everything was blocked off and sectioned off. So this might be the retaining wall. So they kept it here and threw a cabinet on longer to keep a bigger kitchen, which is wild. But again, there's nothing that special. It looks like it's just been thrown together. It's great. The flooring looks nice. I don't even know what type of wood this is. Hopefully it's actually wood, but it could be tile. It could be the vinyl flooring that I have here in my apartment, which is the cheapest, worst, most horrible thing you could buy. The vinyl on this flooring is a year old, year and a half old, and it's peeling up and falling off. But I scrolled down and you can see, look at this insanity. The house was selling, it sold for $290,000 back in June of 2024. It sold like 5 months ago for $290K. Can you believe that here? They estimated it to go all the way up to $470, and then it went on the market. Let's pull up the listing here. You can see, then listed for sale again, sold for $290, whatever the difference is here, passed around. And then somehow from $290, it gets sold at, it gets listed 5 months later for $600,000, 100% markup. They doubled the price on it. And it's nothing all that. If I could find the old pictures of what this house looked like, it'd be pretty wild. It's actually hysterical. After a couple minutes of looking on the internet, I was able to find what the house looked like before. This is, at one point, they were trying to sell for $400K. It ended up selling for $290,000. It doesn't even have central air. You can see the AC hanging there. Fireplace right here. And this is what you got. And check it out. You can even see the resemblance from what it is now. You can see the deck and how it was built, and this is it now. Those columns are still there. The same thing here, and they just put this fake faux look on top of the poles that are holding it. They painted the brick, and then they painted the concrete, the slab. That's all they did. A quick little do-up, and we're good to go. It might even be the same roof, but maybe give them the benefit of the doubt. They probably changed it, but that's all they did. They made it in the cheapest way possible here. They got rid of this part, maybe. I don't know. It looks like they did. I can't even tell at this point here, but this is what I'm saying. This doesn't make it worth double the price that it was currently selling for, a $600,000 house. It's insanity.
Just wanted to point something out to people that are buying houses right now. If your house is newly built and it is built during the rainy season, most likely they are using particle board or OSB instead of actual plywood. It's getting drenched, and then they cover it, put a roof on it, they put drywall up, and before you know it, you've got black mold in your house that you have never lived in. So if you just bought a new house, make sure that you are running a dehumidifier constantly for the first 6 months. Seriously, I cannot tell you how many houses I have seen that are brand new and they end up having mold issues because they are using the cheapest possible plywood they can get, and it rains, at least in Washington State, a lot. So keep that in mind. Hope this helps somebody avoid some serious illness. Black mold is no joke. Cheers.
And it's crazy because people are making videos saying they've gotten mold from their new construction house and they thought it would never happen. Because it's brand new, why would you have mold? That's the reason. And it's crazy too, because he was saying people, instead of using like plywood, which is more expensive, they're using particle board. I am not in that genre of, home improvement stuff to know the difference between the two, or what's more costly, what's more durable, stuff like that. I know like particle board or press board is put together, plywood's put together. I honestly have no idea. I can't speak on it here. But he's saying they're opting for the cheaper stuff that's not as durable, and it's just absorbing all this water and becoming mold. And that's, again, my next point is it's just cheap junk.
When I walk into a brand new home just under $1 million, I expect the bar to be set just a little bit higher than what it is nowadays. You ever turn the handle on a shower to cut the water on and the whole wall moves and the handle feels like it's going to fall off? This is why. They should support or block that valve directly behind and about a foot up to keep the pipes from rattling in the wall when you turn it on. You ain't gonna believe this. They frame this doorway 34 inches wide, but only cut the header to accommodate 32 inches. And on that left-hand side, they took that jack stud out and just replaced it with a piece of OSB. And I know that's the case because your base plate down there at the bottom is cut to accommodate a 34-inch opening. Now, I come over here to the left-hand side, and I notice that about 10 trusses are blocked along the ends. They're wedge shimmed. Now, I was told before the inspection they had some foundation issues and the building materials had to sit on the building site out in the weather for a significant amount of time, and my common sense started talking to me. I got to looking at this and I noticed that there were scabs along the bottom of these trusses. Now, these trusses are engineered. They shouldn't be modified, but they had to do something to keep a bow out of the ceiling. All right, when you're in a high-density neighborhood like this one, your water runoff can't drain into your neighbors, and vice versa. Hence the reason you see a swell or a drainage ditch in between these houses. It's obvious that the neighbor's runoff is draining directly into the front yard of this house and right over the driveway.
I'm over it. When I start looking for a house, and honestly, I would like to, but unfortunately, it is so much cheaper to rent than it is to purchase a home. And I don't want to hear it that purchasing a home is an asset. It's not. It's a liability. If it is your primary residence, it is by no means, and your personal residence, it's by no means an asset. It is a liability, and if you treat it like one, you'll actually be much better off here. But right now, I could get a one-bedroom apartment for like $1,600, and if I move to Tennessee, it's like $1,300. If I wanted to purchase a home, my mortgage, like I said before, is going to come out to over $3,000, and I have to put down $130K. It's not feasible. I mean, honestly, if rent was more expensive than buying a home, then I'd be buying a home. Or if it was even or even remotely close, I'd be buying a home. I would love to be a homeowner, but it's not possible. It's not feasible. I don't know how people are doing it. What kind of house is that? Is that the way the world is going? That we're going to live in a house like that? Can you imagine? This is my point where it's like, is this the cheapest way we can build a $300,000 home? Is that actually it? Because that thing looks hideous. No offense to anybody that owns that, but what is that thing? It looks like it's something out of like a Disney movie or a Dr. Seuss movie, the way this house is built. Again, on top of your neighbor, and that's it. It's crazy. Beware buyers. Fee. Quote fees. Buyers beware. What a world we live in. What are these houses? So honestly, it leaves a few options here. And honestly, when I do decide to buy a house, I'm going to be getting a house that has withstood the test of time. It's got to be at least 30 to 40 years old, made with actual wood, not this cheap junk that they're building houses with now. I really want to hear from you, like where your guys' heads at. You know, if you're a homeowner, did you purchase a home used? Did you stay away from new homes? If you're a new homeowner, did you like new construction? Are you anti-new construction? Did you build your own house? How much did it cost? Is it even feasible? How can you even afford it? Tiny home, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear it because it's near impossible. But if you guys haven't seen my previous video on being house poor, I highly recommend you check that one out because it has a lot to do with the current state of the world that we're living in. But with that being said, smash the like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.